All right, as you can see, we got another big shipment of GoingMake tools here. I mean, I just don't understand how they can keep improving the tools as much as they do. So let's see if we can figure out the improvements that they've made on these new tools. As always with these GoingMake tools, every one of them comes with an instruction. And a lot of times you think, I don't need instructions because this is just a simple, pin jig. This is not just a simple pin jig. So one thing that it has is it has a little shoulder there to where you can hook that on the edge of a cabinet, and that will go right there. But it also simply comes right off. So if you're inside the cabinet and you're not coming from the front edge, you can butt that up on the inside. Now you have your pinholes here that are on your 32 millimeter increments. Now there's a couple extra pins right here. So what are these pins for? Well, it took me a second to realize, okay, if you get two of these, you can hook these together, or for that matter, maybe three, depending on what size cabinets you're building, and these will attach, and so that you can put them all in at once and go down and drill your holes. Now, each one of these kits comes with two high-speed drills and two stop collars with extra set screws for each one. It also comes with the alignment pin here. So if you are drilling a big long line of holes and this is not long enough, you drill your holes and then you slide it up and then you slide your pin in, and then that will space you again. And so then you can go up and continue your holes. Absolutely fabulous. And now this is something I have not seen on any other one of these, is that it has these little pads, but not only has it got this little non-skid rubber pad, which is going to keep from marring your wood if it's a painted surface, but these are milled into a pocket. So unlike some of the other ones that may have a pad that are just stuck on the surface, these little pads are inset into a recessed cavity, which means that that's going to hold them in, and these things will never come loose. I do not doubt that these little pads are going to be permanently there forever. You've got multiple spacings if you want to go 37, 50, 64, depending on how far back from the edge. You just move your pins, and you can have those at three different settings. So again, I didn't even think of all these extra features, but they seem to have come up with a new and improvement every time I see one of their tools. Also, which I found on all their new tools they have, is when they machine these, they have the little lines right here, or little pointers, so that if you have your mark on your board, where you want this to be lined up at, you can line up the little tick marks right there, and that is another way. So you could take these off and then clamp them wherever you want on that cabinet to get whatever spacing you would like. Another fabulous tool. There's nothing I can think of that they could do with this that would improve it. All right, so this is a doweling jig. I have had doweling jigs in the past, and I have never had anything quite like this. This thing is just absolutely awesome. There is no type of doweling that this machine won't do. So first of all, these are all like hardened steel. Everything that's not black seems to me to be hardened steel. So you're going to have three sets. You've got 1/4 inch. These are 3/8 and 1/2 inch. It's got some really nice, actually, a lot of times with the little cheap Doweling jigs, they don't put in really quality drill bits, but these are high-speed steel drill bits. You've got your 1/4 inch, 3/8 and 1/2. So we've got real nice drill bits. We've got the real nice hardened steel collars to go in. Now, this machine, you definitely probably need this because it can do so many different things here. You know, obviously we can just clamp this onto our board. And now this part right here, we have our 2 pins here that lock it down, but we also have a pin here that is on 1/8 inch increments. So we can move this, lock it down with this pin, and then we can secure it down with these 2, which is going to make it super solid, but yet you're able to move it and repeatably come back and get that exact same measurement. So that's going to bring us over from the edge. Say if you're working your way down a board and you want to have multiple holes, well, we only got 3 here. So that's where this little jig comes in, and we've got the little pins right here. So, and then we've got, depending on what size you're doing, if you got the 3/8, quarter, or half, but this hole lines right up with these holes here. So you can, you know, adjust your spacing, drop this pin in, and then continue the spacing exactly the same down the rod. If you're like on the edge of a cabinet, you can actually lower this down and kind of come inside and catch on the inside lip if you want to do an inside spacing. Just a whole multitude of different options. I mean, it is just ridiculous. I didn't even realize that there was this many different ways that you could use a doweling jig. So if you do any doweling whatsoever, you're going to want to definitely get this jig here. And if you're not an experienced person that's been doing a lot of this doweling, you're going to have this book here that's basically 10 pages of just how to do the doweling. The rest is like the parts that come with it. All right, now GoingMake has a bunch of these track saw squares. And now this is the large one. I've had it for a while, and it's really nice because the parallel guides will go on here, so you can use this one in conjunction with the parallel guides. And it's actually, you know, as you can see comparatively, a lot bigger, but yet you're going to want this when you're doing the bigger pieces. I have this one here, and now this one is unique because you can change your angle. So if you're doing 45s, it doesn't have to be at 90. So that's a, you know, just something unique that they have. Well, the ones that they sent me today were these 2. And where these are coming in is they don't have all the bells and whistles. They're just squares. Now, just like every one of the other GoingMake, you know, even the more expensive one, it has the shoulder so that whenever you're putting it on the edge of your board, it will sit there so it doesn't flip down. So even these smaller ones have that extra little feature to where they're going to sit flush. They have the same exact clips. These are good heavy duty clips. I've been using them for years. Have never had one that come loose on me. And you know, you've got the 2 different ones. I'll link them both in the description. And one is just a little bit smaller than the other. You can tell the difference because of the shoulder. But what I find sometimes is I've been wanting to cut down a piece of my track to about 36 inches or something, maybe 24, for like stair treads when I'm just doing small pieces where I'm not doing the big sheets of plywood. I think this would come up great with the smaller little pieces of track. And now all these will fit in your Festool tracks, the PowerTech, when, you know, pretty much all of your standard tracks, but like the Dowel, I think, has a special track, and there's 1 or 2 other brands. But both of these are going to be great. They're just, depending on your application, they're going to be a little bit more economical, but then they're also going to be easier because this one here, you know, this is actually pretty heavy. You know, it's at least twice as much as this. So if you want that little lightweight with a small piece of track, these are the ones that you're going to want to go with. All right, so I've got several parallel guides, and these are the best. To me, they're better than the red ones. One is the aluminum is a much thicker aluminum. And you see the extrusion here, it actually has 2 ribs, where a lot of them just have the one. That way you have 2 of the retainers. I feel that just gets you a lot better locking. Now, these are metric on one side and standard on the other. And the best thing that I really love about these is that one, you can, once you put this on your track, you slide this up here and now you can loosen off. And all right, so we're going to lock that down and then we can move this knob right here. And that is going to move the little sight glass here. And so you can dial this in exactly. You measure your line over at 12 inches or whatever, and then you can put this down and move that and get that exactly where you want it. If you do make a cut and it's just a hair off, you know, if you take and loosen this up and then try to move it over, sometimes you're going to move it over too much. So with this one here, you loosen this screw here off, and now you can move this, you know, which actually moves your stop. So that's going to make your board 1/1000, 2/1000 bigger or smaller. So this one only moves the sight glass. So that is how you get it zeroed in. And then once you get it close to where you want it at, you lock it down, and then you can actually move that and you can get that sucker dead on. Now, whenever I first hooked this up, I was so shocked. I screwed this right here in, and now this, you flip down and it goes underneath and goes in and touches the board. Now be sure to screw this all the way back to the, you know, so it's fully seated. And once that's fully seated, and then you come in here and you slide this in, and now you're going to use this, you see there's a little smaller scale. So at that point you use that smaller scale, and that is going to be to the tip of here. And you can readjust to make sure you're dead on. But when I use this, like I said, I was just shocked that this right here was perfectly accurate. So on this scale here, using, because the numbers don't quite line up, I was like, you know, that's off by just a hair. But what that is they've got this figured out, I guess, because I did not have to mess with my adjustments, so I could, you know, flip this under and do my inside board measurements, and then I could just flip it over and take that off, and without having to do any adjustments. So this is going to be, to me, the absolute best, most accurate set of parallel guides. You know, they go all the way down here to, you know, 55 inches. So that's going to get you a half a sheet of plywood, you know. But then at the same time, if you don't want to use them, if you're not using that much, you can disconnect your little braces here, and then that will shorten them up, make them a little bit easier to work with. So ever since I heard of GoingMake about a year or so ago, I was impressed with the very first email I got from them asking me, hey, we're going to send you some tools, and if there's any improvements we can make, let me know. You hear this time to time, you know, from companies, but GoingMake, they must have done this to a bunch of people, and they take every comment and they implement them, because they come out with, it seems like monthly, with a improvement to every one of their tools. And I have yet to have any of their tools that weren't just top notch already. And I'm just shocked that they're able to make improvements like they are. So if you can come up with an idea that can make any of these tools better, put it in the comments, and we'll see if next month we get a new tool out with those features on them. So until next time, I hope everybody has a wonderful day,